In this video, I'm going to talk about chronic fatigue and how it's not just an empty battery, it's more really a problem of a dirty burn. And the thing is, you wake up already tired, not the kind of tired a good night's sleep fixes, the kind that's still there after 8 hours of sleep, still there after the coffee, still there after the days you did everything right. So you go looking for more energy, cleaner diet, a better supplement, anything to switch your engines back on. And maybe something helps for a week, and then the flatness settles back in. Here's a question worth sitting with. If chronic fatigue were just an empty battery, why does it come so slowly? Why does it take years to arrive? And why does it, almost everything you throw at it barely move the needle? An empty battery drains in a day. What you're feeling took years. Now, before we go further, lasting exhaustion deserves to be taken seriously. It can come from thyroid disease, anemia, sleep disorders, autoimmune conditions, infections, medications, depression. If you haven't properly worked up, that comes first. Get the labs, rule things out. But there's a specific person I want to talk to today. The one who has been checked, whose blood work comes back normal, who is told they're basically fine, and who still knows deep down that something is wrong. For that person, almost every answer points to the same direction. It assumes you are low on energy and that the fix is to make more of it. Boost the mitochondria, push the engines harder, more fuel, more output, more energy. But what if you were never low on energy at all? What if the real problem is that you're making it dirty? So stay with me, because this is a completely different way to look at your exhaustion. Your cells make energy by burning oxygen. That part is true, but oxygen is not gentle. It's a spark, reactive, hungry, a little wild. And when you burn a spark like that without something to temper it, you don't just get energy, you get sparks flying off in every direction. Scientists have a name for those stray sparks: free radicals, oxidative stress, tiny bursts of damage that scorch the very machinery producing your energy. The mitochondria, the membranes, the proteins, and even the DNA inside the cell. So picture two fires. One is a wildfire throwing flames onto everything around it. The other is still that same fire held inside a hearth, contained, steady, warming the room instead of burning it down. Same fuel, same spark, completely different outcome. The difference isn't how much you burn, it's how well that burn is governed. And this is what almost no fatigue video will tell you. When the burn goes dirty, your body doesn't necessarily make less energy at first. It makes energy at a cost. Every bit of fuel comes with a little more damage, a little more inflammation, a little more wear. And over the years, the terrain your cells live in slowly degrades. That word terrain is the whole thing. Your body isn't a machine made of parts you swap out. It's a living environment, and your mitochondria are only ever as healthy as the terrain surrounding them. The chemistry, the acidity, the electrical balance, the eternal weather your cells are trying to work inside. You can give better fuel to a cell all day long. If it's burning in a bad terrain, you're just giving it more to burn dirty. So the real question becomes, what governs the burn? What turns the wild spark into contained hearth? And here's where we finally meet the molecule we were all taught to throw away: carbon dioxide. I know how that sounds. We're taught CO2 is nothing but a waste gas, the exhaust we breathe out. But inside the body, carbon dioxide is one of the greatest stabilizers of terrain. It's not the fuel, it's the hearth around the fire. Carbon dioxide helps hold your pH in a narrow range that your enzymes need. It studies the electrical gradients your mitochondria actually run on. It keeps oxygen reactivity in check, so the burn stays controlled instead of spitting damage everywhere. It even helps calm the nervous system that governs how you breathe in the first place. And yes, it helps oxygen leave the blood where it's needed, but that's just one job among many. Oxygen is the spark. Carbon dioxide is the hearth. One ignites the energy, other shapes the conditions that let the energy warm the house instead of burning it down. Remove the hearth, and even a well-fueled fire becomes something that slowly destroys the room it was meant to heat. And now look at how the hearth goes cold, quietly over the years. When you live braced, tense, stressed breathing, fast and shallow, high in the chest, the way a depleted body breathes all day long. You blow off carbon dioxide faster than you can make it. The buffer thins, the burn gets a little dirtier, the oxidative load climbs, and your nervous system stays locked in a low state of threat that keeps you out of repair. Sit with what that means. Your fatigue may not be a shortage of energy at all. It may be years of burning energy in an unprotected terrain, and a body too braced to ever fully recover between the burns. That's why it arrives slowly. Terrain doesn't collapse overnight. It erodes, cold hands, restless sleep, a brain that fogs by mid-afternoon, effort that costs far more than it should. These aren't separate glitches. They're one terrain wearing thin in different places. Dysfunction is rarely the beginning of the story. It is the consequence of conditions that failed long before. And it's why boosting your mitochondria so often disappoints or even backfires. Push a dirty fire harder and you don't get vitality. You get more heat, more damage, more embers on the floor. So more fuel was never the answer. A better hearth was. So where does that leave you? Maybe you were never low on energy. Maybe your engines never were the problem. Maybe the exhaustion, what it feels like to make energy year after year in a terrain that can no longer protect you from your own fire. And here's the part that matters. Terrain can be rebuilt, or hearth can be restored. The body isn't waiting to be forced back to life with a stronger switch. It's waiting for the conditions in which fire burns clean again. And carbon dioxide, the molecule we were taught was waste, sits quietly at the center of all of it. You don't need to command your cells to make more energy. You need to give them a terrain worth burning in. Because hearth was never just the presence of energy. It's the return of the conditions that let energy become life instead of damage.